So, Konami has gone ahead and done what everyone's been asking about for years. They have finally released Metal Gear Solid 1 through to 3 as well as the original Metal Gear Solid 2 on all modern platforms. This includes PC. Now I'll get straight to the point. If you don't want to hear me waffling about this shitty, atrocious port, feel free to use the chapters below to skip the intro and get right into the modding, where I show you how you can fix the various problems introduced with this port of MGS3 using a combination of, at times for texture upscale, a reshade to fix the awful gamma and cataracts inducing colors, plus a few more additional mods and tweaks that are going to enhance the experience and actually make it feel like a master collection, because Konami didn't do a good enough job. A small disclaimer, before we proceed, all credit goes to the fantastic modders which put time and effort into making these fixes and ultimately doing what Konami couldn't. Without them, none of this would have been possible, so if you have anyone to thank for, it would be them. All the links will be provided in the description of this video. So, Metal Gear Solid 3 is officially on PC, with achievements. Amazing, right? Well, yes, but actually no. They have done the absolute bare minimum. Like always when it comes to ports with Konami, they have done the minimum amount of work. In fact, even less than the minimum, as Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 don't even allow you to change your resolution or adjust it. Let alone change the fucking game audio. If I want to adjust the volume, I physically have to alt-tab the game, go into my volume mixer, and adjust the slider from there, potentially risking my game crashing and losing my progress just because I want to hear my friends, talking on Discord or, to hear what they're saying. Yes, just alt-tabbing can make your game crash. £50 for this collection, by the way, or £15 if bought separately.
Thanks for the money, dummy.
I refuse to even acknowledge or mention the disgusting lack of keyboard and mouse support on its first ever PC release. Fucking atrocious. Specifically when it comes down to MGS3, the audio is also compressed harder than my ass cheeks after ingesting an ungodly amount of fiber. This honest mistake from the indie company known as Konami results in abnormally loud volume and low quality audio being excreted into your fucking eardrums at terminal velocity. Did I also mention certain textures like Ocelot's ears are also blurred and pixelated? Look at this comparison, it looks objectively worse than the OG PS2 texture. Motherfucker looks worse than Blowjob Blazkowicz from the original Wolfenstein 3D. I mean, what the fuck? Now this could be a byproduct of the fact they straight up just ported the HD collection from the 360 PS3 era to, modern systems. Well, how do I know this? Well, they literally just left the fucking Blue Point logos in the game. The guys originally tasked with porting the HD collection to 360 and PS3 respectively? Now, those versions of the games had their own minuscule issues and for the most part were how people would experience these masterpieces until now, with the exception of emulators of course. That is a topic of its own that I will not cover in this video. This port also suffers from bland, washed out colors that look like you're playing the game with fucking cataracts. Now this could be because the 360 version, which had originally slightly more foggy visuals compared to the PS3 version, it could potentially indicate that they ported the 360 version to PC, but that's besides the point. We also have muddy looking textures and in general lower quality looking textures across certain areas and several characters. At least it's not how I recall it, having spent a decent amount of time playing these games on PS2, 360, PS3 and Vita back in the day. Distant textures also distinctively lack any form of anisotropic filtering, making the game look like you're playing Anno 1800 on low settings in first person mode. I also briefly touched upon the game not having resolution options or settings. That is because the game is locked at 720p with some bullshit excuse under the guise of up-rendering to 1080p, which makes the overall image look more washed than my fucking Tekken 7 career. Now they distinctively advertised this game coming, and rendering at 1080p before the release, but on day one, I shit you not, I had to hex edit the resolution in 2023. You can imagine what kind of shit you had to go through to do that. Generally, the only high quality and standout thing about this port is the handy launcher that comes with it. It contains some artworks, booklets, but also allows you to choose the version of MGS3 that you want, such as the European, North America and the Japanese version. Ultimately though, I've wasted more than enough time complaining about the port, and the subject of this video is not a port, it's how to remaster MGS3 to look as good as you possibly can. Hence I ultimately digress. So in this video, I'll be covering a small handful of mods that will enhance the visuals of Metal Gear Solid 3 on PC. They'll fix bugs and enhance the experience akin to what I would call the definitive experience, or a remaster quotation marks. I should preface this by saying I have tested and tried all of these mods on my PC and I have not encountered any game-breaking issues or problems, nor have I really encountered any crashes. Aside from a few minor visual glitches, these mods should be playable from start to finish. Should you face any problems or issues, I recommend you back up your game files as well as your save data, because it's stored in the same folder for some reason, and then ultimately consult the FAQ comments section for each of the mods. I'll also outline each of these mods in the description with download links, most of which are very easy to install and easily accessible from Nexus Mods. So without further ado, let's proceed.
Darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into you. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you.
the first mod on the list is the most essential. MGSHDFIX, which will allow you to run custom resolutions, so yes, you can finally run the game at more than 720p. Well done, Konami. This mod, other than this, also fixes the aspect ratios, enables borderless full screen, forces anisotropic filtering, which fixes blurry textures at a distance, and it does a much better job than your GPU vendor's control panel. And most importantly, it fixes the texture size limit, which is essential for the texture upscale mod and its highest quality setting, ×4 I believe. What that essentially means is by default the game runs 16, it has like a 16 megabyte limit on textures. This ups it to 128, which allows the higher quality textures to then load correctly with mipmaps. The next mod on this list provides a significant boost to visual prowess in the game by upscaling the original and slightly dated textures to a higher resolution with a choice of ×2 or ×4 the original. It's worth noting that this upscale was done using AI by the mod author, hence the name AI Slop Edition. The textures are slightly lighter than the originals and initially lacked mipmaps. However, this has since been addressed, and regardless, they look much better than the original, with the exception of a few areas here and there which can look somewhat like an old painting, but in my opinion, not really too much of a diminishing effect. This pack offers two options, ×2 and ×4. Each option will require slightly more VRAM, so ensure you read the description and pick whichever suits your kit best. I am on a 10GB 3080 and have not run into any issues, if that is any indication. And the download for these is quite big, probably about 30 gig after unpacking. So either be prepared to wait for a long time for it to download through Nexus, or you can shell out for Nexus Premium. Note, do not do this. Now this mod does exactly as it says. It fixes the audio for cutscenes, pre-rendered movies and codec calls. The game is still loud and overall you'll need to tweak the volume down a tad, but the audio quality is day and night difference, so see this comparison for yourself if you don't believe me.
What a thrill, with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill, I'm searching and I'll melt into you.
One of the key tools on this mod list will be a reshade. With the use of reshade, you'll be able to fix the washed out look this version of the game has, and give it more vibrance, which overall resembles the original game more closely, and somewhat enhances the colors and makes them pop. The ReShade Preset in question has 3 templates, so try all 3 of them and see which one you like the most. I personally go for the less extreme version because I believe it resembles the original game the closest. But as with reshade, you just install the latest version of reshade and download the preset and pop it into your folder. I must admit that this preset does absolutely fucking pop with a 4K resolution and the upscale textures. It looks fucking gorgeous. While these mods are non-essential and fully optional as they will not affect gameplay, they will admittedly address the laziness Konami didn't even attempt to fix, and it will clear up some of the visual issues that you may experience throughout this port. So first up we have the 4K zoom day and AI enhanced codec pictures. Entirely optional, but it gives a bit more clarity to the images shown in the codecs. I do think it does kind of affect the original look of the game, because while the pictures do look sharp, they do look slightly funky, but it is AI upscaling, so use it at your own kind of peril, I guess, or your own preference. Next we have an actual Master Collection menu screen and loading icon. This will do exactly as it says and add a proper menu plus a loading icon that distinguishes this version from the HD one, something a multi-million company known as Konami also failed to do. And last but not least, we have the Konami digital copyright fix, which will remove the blurry 2011 copyright and instead replace it with a 2023 one, or remove the text altogether if you just want to bash on Konami like I do. It'll give the game fresh. There are a few mods that I have left out because I'm uncertain of their compatibility, the same way some of these optional mods override existing textures and tweaks. To my knowledge, these should not cause any compatibility issues, as most of them overwrite specific texture files, but not all of them may function correctly at 2K and 4K respectively. Henceforth, use these at your own risk and back up your game files. The aforementioned mods already tweak and adjust certain hard UI elements, and personally, I think they do a good enough job. So kind of install these if you see the need to. I'm not going to cover each one of these separately. I'll just include a screenshot for the video, and then the links and everything else will be in the description. So look for that category in there. With all of the above, you should now have what I would deem to be the definitive MGS3 version running at a stable 60 FPS in a resolution of your choice. With upscale textures and better color tones, I would say this is now the best way to play MGS3, but at the end of the day, it's my opinion. So if you wish to make tweaks or adjustments to the mod list, feel free to do so in the comments. Lastly, I would like to thank all of the modders for making this possible and doing what Konami couldn't be bothered to do. If you like this video, you don't have to like it and you don't have to subscribe. Instead, support the modders and buy them a coffee or a beer. All I did is streamline the video and put together a mod list. Peace.